Yeah, first of all, Aaron, I just appreciate you sitting down with me,
Absolutely.
chatting.
Yeah.
I've, I'll introduce myself, John Wood, CEO of Healthcare Alliance. Aaron is the head of our HR department, also the head of our compliance department. This man has had the opportunity to do so many jobs within our organization, but it's not really what I want to talk about today, or what I want you to talk about today. I mean, the thing is, I think sometimes people look at guys like us that have been able to put our lives back together and kind of been on the right track, and they think like, oh yeah, it's just always how it's been, right?
Yeah.
We've always been stable. We've always had a career, um, but it's just not the truth, right?
Yeah.
And I want you to dive in a little bit, if you're willing. Like, what happened as a younger person or earlier in life that led you to a path to where addiction was really affecting your life negatively?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna get right into it, bro.
Perfect. Perfect. Um, I kind of told the same story to Will earlier.
Good. Yeah, I can't wait to
So
hear.
I remember I was probably 19 years old. I had been up all night, and at this point in my life, it was alcohol and pills.
What kind of pills?
Pain pills,
Okay. Yep.
opiates.
We're on a similar wave.
Yeah, and I had been up all night, and I was sitting on the curb. They finally decided they're locking the doors at the bar. The sun's coming up, and it's starting to sprinkle. And
Where were you living at the time?
Athens, Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I need a visual. Athens is a small town in Georgia. It's a college town. Anyways, go ahead.
yeah, and I had this thought of, hey, Aaron, if you continue doing this,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna have to face the consequences later in life. You're gonna have to deal with the effects of addiction later in life. And I remember making that conscious decision of, but I don't want to give up using.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
So I'll
But
deal
you
with it.
actually had it, and it's funny when I look back on my story, I think about these cognitions that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because they didn't come off an addiction, right? For me, when they came, they were somewhat profound, and at least maybe that is one of the things that like popped a seed. But you're telling me you had a cognition
Yeah.
at that point where you're realizing there's a couple paths you can take here,
Yeah.
and it's like which path am I gonna take?
Yeah.
Which is wild. Yeah, the bar has kicked you out at this point. They're locking the doors and you're sitting on the curb, sun's coming up.
Yeah.
But where did it go from there?
It's my story's not too different than a lot that we hear.
Yeah.
The kinds of drugs I started doing got much harder.
And I like to talk about like what when you say much harder. Like, did you get into heroin?
Yeah.
Were you ever an IV user?
Yeah. Towards the end of my using, it was daily IV use of meth and heroin.
Yep, and that will wrap up addiction quickly. That's either a death sentence because I've been there, or you just hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
I can appreciate that you've experienced that. Anyways, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. Some of the places my addiction took me. I was in a really bad car accident. Had been awake way too long.
How old were you?
25.
Okay,
20.
so addiction lasted a good bit for you.
Yeah.
Because you're referencing a time when you were 19.
Yeah.
And now we're talking 25. So during that stretch, you were pretty much addicted.
Yeah.
Daily?
Pretty much about 10 years.
Okay.
And, there were a couple times where I was court ordered to
Clean up. Sure.
And so there was maybe out of that 10 years, there's probably a year total where I was not using daily.
Yeah, check the box.
Yeah.
Make sure you didn't go to prison.
Yeah. Get off my back.
Yep.
Yeah. Was in this car accident, and broke my pelvis, my arm,
God.
4 ribs, collapsed a lung.
And you were, did you fall asleep at the wheel?
Fell asleep at the
Yeah.
wheel.
Gosh, I would love to tell you my interstate story, but continue. This is
Yeah.
about you. Yeah. I
And
resonate.
you know, even that, I didn't get clean after that.
So you're in the hospital.
Yeah.
Right. And at this point, if you've been in the hospital for a certain bit of time, you're kind of coming to.
Yeah.
You're probably starting to feel your body getting into a little detox. What's the first thing on your mind in the hospital? Just completely beat up.
Yeah, I had to get out of there.
Where the fuck's the medicine, right?
Yeah, and you know, and it was everyone was like breathing down my neck at that point because it was like my
family,
my blood work was off the charts, you know, and you know, and I'm thinking about okay, but like if I can just smoke some weed, like
sure, you'd be okay.
I'm gonna feel better.
Yeah,
like
anything.
Yeah, that and I had tickets sitting next to the hospital bed from the cop that found me, and so I'm you know concerned about am I going to prison?
Sure. For
all the stuff I had in the car. And how can I get high?
Yeah, and where's my stuff at? Yeah. And I imagine at that point, just if I'm thinking about like my story, and I'm not trying to like press my story on you, but we have very similar experiences as addicts, right? We get to these low points, it's like we really resonate. I love that we can laugh about them now because we've sustained for a long time and life's good. But in that moment, it's like, did you have a bunch of resources to get re-up or no?
No, I you know, I was driving a friend's car because
wasn't even your car.
It wasn't even my car.
Lovely.
Mine had been totaled. And you know, and
we would have been a wreck together, brother.
And had essentially nothing to my name.
Yep.
You know.
I understand.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then from there though, you're 25 years old. Are you still in Athens, Georgia?
So I was living in Helen, Georgia when the wreck happened, and I moved back to Athens.
Family?
Yeah. Okay. So I was staying at my mom's house to recover. You know, I was fairly bedridden. I couldn't bear any weight on my left leg. Couldn't use my right arm. So I was really getting around on a walker. You know, and couldn't even get up fast enough at night to use the bathroom.
Wow.
You know,
bedpan kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have that visual to see because it was so weird, bro. When my last car accident where I was driving down the interstate, Highway 80 in California, coming back from Tahoe to Sacramento, I'd been doing OCs all night. I had ran out of cocaine, and you have to cut them in order to stay awake, right? And I just remember, the only thing I remember is like coming to on the freeway, going like 90, and my Impala was on top of someone else's car, right? Just coming to it, and then this whole thing. But the odd part of it was like, bro, I walked away with a couple scratches.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
Yeah.
And then I text my sister. I'm like, hey, I need you to pick me up right now. And my sister at that point in my life was kind of like my running mate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know how I got out of all that, but the car got towed, right? My sister picked me up. She dealt with the cops. And I was out of there.
Yeah.
But you had a much different story. Like you were so like your body got very damaged from this as well, which adds to it. Was that a point to where you started to think like, what was your thought process in this bed in your family home, not able to be mobile? Like where was your head at, bro?
Yeah,
full transparency.
You know, like I got back to. Left the hospital, got back, and the first thing I did was call one of my friends in Athens, and I was like, "Yo, you gotta help me out."
I need a front.
And that's as far as I could think, really. Was like, how do I feel better in the moment? Significant amounts of pain. They sent me home with like a 30-day supply of pain pills, and I
Trash. Yeah. Not even scraping the surface.
Gone in 2 days.
Yeah.
And so like my brain was like, okay, well, how do I
feel better now?
And looking back on it, like at all of the consequences of all, like the arrests and the wreck, and
yeah.
none of that mattered.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
And none of it wasn't ever the consequences that made me want to get clean.
Yeah, it's so weird that like when you're in that state of life, it's like you're okay with death.
Yeah.
You're okay with it. Almost would be a preference at times. Yeah. And it's hard to talk about it, and it's hard to like get back and feel those feelings because I know you've been so far removed from it. But yeah, I kind of want to understand like at what point in there. Because I could feel your rock bottom, right? And we don't need to be crying on the podcast, which I think we've done before. But it's like at what point there, so your mind's still hyper-focused. Because I remember being in the hospital, waking up. The only thing I could think is, where is this one jacket where I know I had 2 OC80s in them, right?
Yeah.
Like that made me feel better long enough to where I could get back on track.
Yeah.
It's like similar mentality.
Yeah.
But at what point in there, and at what age were you like, or was it family that kind of intervened to help you make a different, like a 180 move? And it's never 180, right? Especially not first, because you don't want it to be.
Yeah.
But at what point were you willing to kind of say, I need to try something different, or just off it?
Yeah. And as soon as I was mobile again, it was right back to IV drug use, right back to the same drugs I was using. And it stayed that way for a couple more years.
Okay.
And, I...
so into 27, 28, late 20s, kind of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, at this point, my mom was like, you can't stay here.
Your mom sounds like a saint, right?
Yeah.
Because my mom earlier was like, hey, these weren't her exact words, because I've said this before on a podcast and she's heard it, and she's like, I don't remember saying that. Yeah. But she had a rough conversation with me to where it was like, get your shit together.
Yeah.
And don't contact the family.
Yeah.
But anyways, your mom sounds like an absolute saint.
Yeah. And yeah, she absolutely never gave up on me.
It's amazing.
Was the best support that I had throughout all of my using and even through my recovery, and in the later years it turned into kind of a tough love support.
Sure, it has to, yeah.
Yeah.
Did she ever find Al-Anon?
She's got a group of friends that they're on Facebook. That's where she met them, and their commonality is they've all got sons who are addicts. Many of them are still in active addiction. Some of them unfortunately passed away.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's part of what we deal with. I mean, that was the next phase for you, it sounds like.
Yeah. So what changed? I was staying in a friend's shed behind their trailer, and
describe the shed.
Oh gosh, is
like an 8x10.
Yeah, 8x10.
Yep.
Wood.
Yep.
Good plywood floor.
Something you can get from Home Depot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No windows.
Yeah.
Not insulated. So I'd shoved everything that I owned in this shed, and was kind of sleeping on a pile of dirty clothes, and and they decided that I was too much of a mess, that I could no longer stay in the shed.
Even for the shed.
Even for the shed.
Yes.
so the next move.
And I love that I could smile just because, like, I've been kicked out of similar situations, right? Like that. And it's just like looking back, how do you let the addiction rule so much? The choice is not there almost. Yeah. For me, it wasn't. Maybe it's underdeveloped because I started at a certain age or had some certain life events happen or whatever. But I never really felt like I had a choice or knew that there was another life available.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I completely relate to that. You know, I not once did I think that not using was an option.
Oh, me neither.
And
No. Yeah.
It became just a level of survival.
Sure.
At that point.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
You know, and like the next move for me was gather together as much as I could. I didn't want to be like on the streets in my hometown. Because I had some shame attached to that because people would see me.
Yep.
So the goal was to move to another town where I could be on the streets and be homeless.
I mean, that's always just run.
Yeah.
I mean, that's always the way to go.
Yeah.
New people, you know?
And so that was the in my future plans, and ended up getting arrested. And the cops had to pull me out of a dumpster because that's the only safe place I had to get high.
That was the spot.
spot.
And then as far as the dumpster, right? So, I mean, what Aaron's describing here is something that I've experienced. So, a dumpster's not a bad pick when you're in that deep and active addiction because you do have a little shelter. If you're creative, you can get some light as well. And it's a safe spot to shoot up dope.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's what people don't understand. It's like, and then I'm a germaphobe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I sanitize and I wash my hands, and I'm so blessed that like there's some things I did not get during that time that other people have and they deal with. But it's like, it's wild to think that that's acceptable for your own person, right? Your own very short human experience.
Yeah.
But anyways, so they arrested you out of this dumpster, which was your home at the time.
Yeah.
How long were you going in and out of shooting dope here and like trying to hustle to get money for dope?
After getting kicked out of the shed, it was just a few days.
Yeah, it happens quickly.
Yeah.
It has to because it's not sustainable. Yeah.
So I'm back in jail, and being local, my plan was wait a certain period of time and the judge is going to let me out on my own recognizance because I've got family in the area and I can just get right back to it. And
you had a plan.
I waited that period of time and got in front of the judge, and he was like, I know what you're going to do. Mm-hmm. You're going to get out of here and you're going to get high. Uh-huh. I'm not letting you out. And like there's obviously some anger involved,
pissed at that point.
Something changed, and I don't know what it was. I didn't necessarily want to go to treatment, but I agreed to.
Yeah.
And
what would you say like your percentage of willingness was? I mean, you were rock bottom like I had been, so if anyone put a hand up, I might have just grabbed it.
Yeah.
But what do you think your level of willingness was like on a percentage from say 1 to 100 of actually in that moment say, okay, I'm gonna sustain recovery or sustain sobriety or sustain a better life through treatment?
In terms of like sustaining recovery, I was probably 50-50 at the moment.
Okay, that's really high.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if we can get clients these days that are like 50% motivated, I'll take 5%. You know what I mean? If you have 5% in there to where you're like, I think that I would like to try that, that's all we require here.
Yeah. And I had no idea. I had no idea that I wanted to be clean the rest of my life.
Sure.
I was 100% ready to get out of jail. And whatever that took, I was on board.
That makes sense. That helps.
And I knew that treatment was probably the only option for me.
How do you know about treatment?
I had several judges tell.
Yeah, you had some issues leaving.
Yeah. They, you know, I was court ordered to treatment and just wasn't interested.
Yeah.
You know.
But you knew it was out there.
Yeah, knew it was out there. That was how I was introduced to, you know, 12-step recovery. You know, but yeah, I knew that I wanted to get out of jail. I knew that treatment was probably the only option that was going to be put in front of me, and I knew if that was the only option, I would at least try that to the best of my ability.
Of course.
And then I didn't even know what was possible after that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So fast forward, you agreed to go.
Yeah.
Where did you end up going, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah. So I went to a wilderness program, Four Circles. It was in Mills River.
Beautiful program. Used to be here in the mountains, yeah.
Yeah. And absolutely loved it. I've always loved, you know, being outside. You know, I've loved getting my hands dirty, and you know, and when I was talking to my dad in jail, I was like, just find me somewhere. I just want to be outside.
Yep.
And that's where he landed, and I didn't ask questions, and that's where I ended up.
Yep. And then, okay, so Four Circles, and I knew the program well, and it's some things that, of course, we always try to reinvent the wheel and figure out what's new in therapy. But the beautiful thing about Four Circles that they got right is that get people out in nature. Don't get people in sterile rooms and just do talk therapy all day and expect them to work through the things. You have to have some sort of experience that is profound and multiple cognitions to sustain.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, talk a little bit about like your first 6 months of sobriety.
Yeah. You know, early recovery was it's difficult. You know, it's there's a lot of emotion there. You know, and so I get through treatment, and they kind of ask like, well, what's next? And at that point, things began to change, and you know, I started to think like maybe recovery's possible. Maybe this is something I want to continue to try. And so I said, you tell me.
I love it.
And
those are the clients we love.
Yeah.
Because we know they got a shot.
Yeah. Ended up in a sober living here in Asheville. And Jeremy actually worked there. Stalls.
Oh, so you were over. Okay, yeah, I don't need to mention names. It was actually a good place, and then anywhere where Jeremy Stahl is at is a good place.
Yeah.
That was his first role, I believe, in the recovery field. Yeah. Short. Anyway, so tell me about that. So you got through treatment. You're in sober living. You know, where was your brain at during this time? Was it still a battle? I mean, when did you kind of get your confidence back, I guess?
Yeah. Getting my confidence back.
That comes and goes.
That's a loaded question.
No. Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because like there's a point. Yeah, life happens. And life's waves. But just as long as like the wave's slowly waving up.
Yeah.
Be like, when did you start to feel yourself? You know, feel who you were and stuff again.
Yeah, it was probably 8-9 months. You know, and
that's something I want so many people to hear, right? So 8 or 9 months before you started to feel like yourself. I resonate with that so heavy. I don't know if it was, 6 months, a year, somewhere in there. And then, of course, it ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
You have bad weeks, bad months, and good months. But it takes a long time.
Yeah.
It's an internal battle where you have to make constant day-to-day choices and surround yourself with people that are doing things differently than you would. But anyways, go ahead.
And you know, I say 8-9 months, and you know, a lot of that time was, you know, people in the recovery community welcoming me. You know,
AA
people,
meetings
yeah,
and yep.
people like Jeremy, like
Oh gosh, yeah.
kind of just driving me around, taking me to meetings, you know,
Yes.
hanging out, taking me on hikes, showing me the town,
Yep.
you know, and I don't think I would be clean today if I didn't have people like that
Yeah.
in my life in early
Yeah.
recovery.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think about my journey here in Asheville, right? And I had my stuff together here. I've been in Asheville for 14 years now. Moved for a great opportunity. Ended up 3 years in having a relapse, strong one, which was like 10 years ago now. But if it wasn't for a couple people, because I tried to get scholarships everywhere in town I could go in. So I just stumbled into an AA meeting, 2 days sober, coming off of everything. 2 days withdrawing, I should say.
Yeah.
I mean, I was about $140, just looking like a freaking alien.
Yeah.
That just landed, throwing up in the bathroom in between, trying to sit there and listen to other people. But, the point is, like, it's just so gritty at first. You just really have to grind through those feelings, but it's about the individuals that are willing to put their hand out, unpaid, to help you get to that next phase. Yeah. That's the magic. I had a couple people that if they were not in my life then, I would still be getting high today, 100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
I completely relate, and it's like during that time, those feelings of like I'm worthless and I'm not deserving and nobody gets me, being welcomed and just being shown what love is, from one addict to another.
Yeah.
Like I think that was the biggest catalyst for change for me.
Yeah.
And
feeling seen and loved.
Yeah.
In a way to where they're not looking for anything in exchange outside of just helping them sustain their recovery by doing the service work from helping you. Yeah. No, it's a beautiful thing. I mean, fast forward for me just a little bit. Take it 6 months from there. So what did your life look like then?
Yeah, right at a year, I took my first job working in the field.
Okay.
As a behavioral health technician.
Okay.
Trying to get my foot in the door.
Local treatment center here?
Yeah.
Yep.
And absolutely loved it. I loved, hanging out with clients. I loved being able to, share some of my experience and just being able to relate to them.
Yep.
And things progressed from there. I ended up leaving that treatment center, going to another one, same position.
Okay.
And then pretty much every year since then, was offered different positions. So I went from BHT to the IOP coordinator. Started working on my CADC credentials, and and then from there was a primary therapist, and then
this stuff doesn't happen overnight. I want to emphasize, Aaron just said year to year.
Yeah.
You don't just jump into our field, right, as a BHT and not put in the work in order to be offered the next position.
Yeah.
You wanted it at this point. Your recovery was strong at this point, I feel like.
Yeah.
And your network was probably very strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I, was hanging out with a lot of people that, had their shit together.
Had what you wanted.
Like, yeah.
Yep.
And kind of showed me, like, just through observation and just by spending time with them, like what it looked like to live stable life and recovery.
Monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah. You know, and so I started emulating a lot of those things, or at least trying to. You know, nothing's
Never
done
perfect.
perfectly.
No, yeah.
You know, and you know, like looking back at it and like looking back at my journey in recovery and thinking about like those feelings that I had in active addiction, you know, like looking back at like being homeless and being kicked out of a shed.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It was
Feeling
like
absolutely useless as a human.
I'm useless. I'm not deserving.
Yes.
I never will be.
Shame.
I'm not worth anything. There's a lot of shame attached. You know, and like I don't like to tout myself, but like looking at my journey in recovery and like doing that work and like being dedicated and, you know, being committed, you know, that's paid off. And like even thinking back, you know, you asked me a question earlier about like what made you, you know, feel worthy or something to that effect. You know, and I think that's still a struggle.
Same.
And you
and
know,
I
like,
want to emphasize that. Same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't understand sometimes like the very A-type folks.
Yeah.
They come in and kind of get this thing, and then I question, is that real? Like, is that you know? But no, I mean, finding our worth is tough, man.
Yeah.
It's not like it happens overnight, and like you can't put a decade of hardship on your body and experience and expect for it just to snap in, even in 5 years, even in however long it is, you know?
Yeah.
It's a constant battle, and you have to show up and suit up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, I think one of the things that I love about, you know, HCANA the most is like there's always been this belief that like you can do this.
Yeah.
And despite those feelings and those thoughts that that follow me, you know, and they get less and less intense, and I don't have to believe them as often, you know, but like, they're still there.
They come back,
and
it comes in waves.
Yeah, and
I think that's the part that's just being human. Is tough, right? Especially introspective, empathetic humans. Yeah. But did you ever think when you started as a BHT, you'd be here today, like doing all the stuff you do for this organization? Like leading HR is plenty, but leading all of compliance and the complexity behind that and the red tape that we live in within this industry, while also trying to push the boundaries for raising the bar for what's acceptable within treatment and giving the client their experience, and you being the intermediate to make sure we're never in the gray area. That is a very challenging job alone, despite having all HR as well. And I know you have support. You know, we have a great team. But did you ever think this is where it would be to at this point? Because it's just one point. I can see you continue to evolve. But
you know, I think even if I had, you know, 5 years ago, if I had tried to imagine where I'd be at professionally in 5 years, there's no way. Like there's no way I would think that this is where it's at. And you know, like this is, you know, where my journey has led me right now, you know, and you know, not only am I grateful for that, but like I you know, with this opportunity, I know that like despite not being in direct care any longer, I know that the work that I do directly impacts the person that's walking in the front door today.
Yeah, and it directly impacts the next generations of BHTs that come in, right? No, that's amazing. I'm curious too, because I don't want it all to be professional, right? Like, this is what you've chosen not to do as a profession. It fills you up. And I know you, I'm getting to know you more and more every year we get to work together. But how different is your life dynamics, interpersonal, family dynamics? How much different is all that?
Yeah. You know, like talking about my family, you know, like spent a decade just abusing their support for me.
Yeah.
And taking advantage of that, you know, and you know, like I think that the relationship that I have with my parents today is the healthiest it's ever been.
It's amazing. I feel the same, which is crazy.
You know, and you know, I feel like that I can go to my family and talk about just the shit that happens in life.
Yeah.
And I don't have to like internalize any of that anymore.
Right.
And you know, and you know, I got married a couple years ago, and
Can you imagine finding a wife from a dumpster shooting dope?
Yeah.
Or getting taken out of a shed?
Absolutely not.
A female is not going to sign up for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, continue. It's incredible.
Yeah. You know, and you know, I've got 3 amazing stepchildren in my life that just like, you know, and just like looking at that now is it. I mean, it's still pretty unbelievable.
Surreal. Yeah.
Pretty surreal. You know, never imagined that was possible. You know, it's something I always wanted.
Yeah.
And just never thought it would be
possible.
Something that came true. Yeah,
it's so interesting when I look at my my personal life. You know, it's just not perfect. Life's not perfect.
Yeah.
We're always navigating these situations and trying to figure out like how to cope with different challenging things that do come up in life. Like being the stepdad for 3 kids, I guarantee there's challenges that come along with that, right?
Yeah.
The beautiful thing is like you've built a solid foundation. You took the time to build a solid foundation to where you can deal with all this stuff. And I feel blessed to have the same thing, you know, to where I'm not worried the next day if I'm going to go off the rails or not, right?
Yeah.
I know that I have to suit up. I know that I have to show up. I know there's certain things that I have to do to be okay. And we've had these conversations. I know that you love running. I know that you do these things that are for Aaron, right? And if you don't, everything else kind of crumbles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just impressed, man, with the professionalism you bring to the table every day, all the dynamics you have in your life, and your energy is always the same when you come into work. The energy that you give our staff, and when you get the chance to interact with clients, which I haven't seen much because it's more staff interaction at this point, it's always consistent. It doesn't matter if it's any sort of hierarchy system, right? Like everyone's on the same level, it seems like, when you communicate with them, and I love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, where do you what's the next chapter look like for you? I mean, what's next?
Yeah. You know, I don't know. And kind of the philosophy that's worked out for me since getting clean is I don't have to make the rules, you know?
Yeah.
And you know, that's how I ended up in treatment at Four Circles. That's how I ended up in sober living. And you know, I try not to set like super rigid rules about like where I need to be, you know, and you know, like it's seeing where I was at 7 years ago and like where I'm at today. It's you know, I just like I try to remain open to like what life may throw at me next, you know. Like it's,
and that's the beautiful thing, is being ready for it.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed in life is like unless you have put in the work prior and other things, no doors open.
Yeah.
Right. You climb up and you build the life that you want to build or manifest the life that you want to build or you put the time into the relationships that you want to cater. Nothing's given. You always have to be ready to put in the work and then watch for the doors to open.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. If there's someone out there, Aaron, that's shooting dope, in obscure spots, that's homeless, that just thinks that their life's meaningless completely. Think about yourself during that time. It's like, what would you tell them? Like, what would you tell them today?
Yeah.
Or what would you tell yourself?
Yeah. The biggest thing that helped me and to help change my perspective was like knowing that I was not alone. And knowing that no matter what I told myself about being deserving, about being lovable, about, you know, like no matter what that thought process was like, there was other people that felt completely different. And that, even if I felt like I didn't deserve to be loved, like there was someone that was going to show me love.
Right.
And someone that was going to make sure that I knew I was not alone.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important thing that we can share with anyone that may be going through it.
Yeah.
It's like as someone in recovery and that works in the field, like I think it's important that people know that like, hey, look, like it's possible to stop using, and not only that, like it's possible to like build and create a beautiful life, even if you're doing it at 30 years old or
doesn't matter,
or beyond,
or
it doesn't
50.
It doesn't matter,
or 18.
Like there's hope.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, there always is hope, man. And that's one thing that when you feel so hopeless to where like it's, for me it was fine, like, you know what I mean, if I ended up ODing, or if it was over for me through certain points of my addiction, I was okay with that. Like I came to terms with that because I didn't know there could be a possibility for me to contribute back to someone else.
Right.
So yeah, I mean that's the biggest thing, man. It's just like I wish that we could somehow inform people that like there's always someone that is there to show you love in the right ways, and to kind of guide you through these things. It doesn't have to be a necessarily treatment center or this and that. Everyone has a different path. But the crazy thing is you can pull a 180. You really can.
Yeah.
But you better be willing to put in the work.
Yeah.
Because your mind's going to fight you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. Special. I've been wanting to chat with you guys for a long time, so I appreciate you like making time and opening it up.
Yeah.
We couldn't be more blessed to have you on the team, and I can't wait to see where everything goes with HCANA, and to hear more stories about your personal life and how that's all going. But it's just a pleasure to be your colleague and your friend, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Super grateful.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you, Aaron.
Absolutely.